Hi, I'm Angie from Five Little Monkeys. In today's series, we're going to talk about large rulers. So when I go to shows, one of the biggest questions I get is, what in the world do I do with a ruler this long? It will help you put your blocks or your big panels. It'll help you trim up your big panels so that they're straight all the way across and you can get accurate measurements to square up your panels. The combination of both the Yardstick and this giant 18-inch square Quilter Select ruler help me do those things. I also use it for making straight borders if I want to have really accurate border pieces, because I can cut 36 inches of a straight line very consistently and very accurately. So we're going to talk about how to do the math and how to get very accurate points and make sure that everything matches so that you get a really pleasing end result. So here we go. For the next part of this series, we're going to show you how to straighten up a panel that you need to cut to size. Now, for visual interest, there's the middle of my block, or the middle of my panel. I'm going to use my chalk marker and I'm going to mark. And the reason I like my chalk marker is because it very easily is visible and it's very easily removable. Let's mark it again. So we've got 1/4 inch, 16 1/4 there, 16 1/4 there. Now, if you want to have a really easy visual reference to that, you can then connect the lines so you can really see it. Now, since I want to have a really straight corner here, I'm going to take my 18-inch giant square, and then I'm going to find the 16 1/4 that's on that ruler, and I'm going to line that up with that middle there. All right. Now, I am not going to cut the top of this yet because we haven't measured the top. We don't know how far away we want to cut that. For now, what I'm going to cut is this end over here. Now, since this ruler reaches so far, I can use that to line it up over here. Now, the thing I want to pay attention to, though, is, do you see how my fabric is going off over here? My fabric design is going that way. So we're going to use the lines on the fabric and we're going to slide those over underneath our ruler. All right. So I know that this is the 16 1/4 inch line that I care about going this way. All right. So this is where I want the edge of my quilt to, or the edge of my panel to be. But now I want the fabric underneath to line up that design, because if I just went at this panel and just started hacking at it, the line that's on my quilt, or the design that's on my quilt, isn't going to be straight. All right, so now that I kind of adjusted that a little bit, do you see how the side, how much fabric is hanging over the edge here is a lot straighter than it was? So I still have the center of my block. There's a lot of referencing back and forth when you're doing this. So this is not the technique to do when you're in a hurry, or you're frustrated, or you need a nap, or you're hungry. This is something that you're going to want to do when you can take the time to do it well. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to straighten this up so that this pole here is pretty much straight up and down with the line on my ruler. Because that design frames in the frame of my dragon, I want it to be very visible that that is the frame in of the block. Okay. So now I have lined the edge of this Celtic design up with, let's see, this is the 5-inch line on my ruler. Now, this block that's up here also fits into that 90-degree angle really nicely. And I'm going to come back and look, and yes, my 16 1/4 is still on that 16 1/4 line. You can go ahead and cut this side over here so you have a nice good reference. I'm not going to cut the top yet because I have to do the same thing measuring the other direction. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this side off. All right, so now that's hanging away. I can come to the other side now. Okay, now I have a 36-inch ruler, which is super handy. Since I've got this angle over here really nice and square, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my 36-inch ruler, and I'm going to measure the 32 1/2 that my panel wants to be cut to. If I put 32 1/2 over here on the end, my 16 1/4 is there in the middle. So now I can just sort of measure this way, because the width of my fabric being the right size is even more important than it being in the middle, I think, because otherwise your whole quilt's not going to go together correctly. All right. So now what I have is my 16.5 is right there in the middle. My 32.5 is on that side. I can get out my 18-inch ruler again, which is what I would probably do. So now what you have is a straight line here, because see how this is lined up with that top of that design. It's lined up pretty good on that side. So I've got a nice angle there that I can line that up to. So I'm going to take this ruler away. And trim that edge off. Now, as a double check, I'm going to lay this back out again and make sure it didn't wiggle itself away. Make sure I have a 32.5 inch measurement on that side. It's pretty close. It's off by about 1/8 of an inch, but I can trim that up a little bit. Okay, so there's that marking there. Okay. So now we have a 32.5 inch wide panel. Basically, we've used our long ruler, found the middle of our printed piece. I always cut my width first because it's easier to maneuver, and then I cut my length. All right, so again, with our 36-inch long yardstick and our 18-inch square ruler, you can do lots of things with panels.